section. Another video here, and in this one we're going to tackle the item catalog materials section. I'm going to show you how to set up your materials and even how to add bulk materials so that you don't have to set them up one by one. Let's dive right into LMN and get to the action. When you're setting up your materials for estimating, you're going to find that menu under the item catalog menu, and then you're going to click materials. And this is going to be the list of materials available for estimating. It's highly likely you're going to have multiple pages of materials. So you can see here at the bottom, you can start skipping through pages. Now, most important to remember, you don't need all your materials set up before you get estimating. You can add materials on the fly while you estimate. Lots of companies get bogged down thinking they've got to get 10,000 materials in here, and probably 8,500 of them they're barely ever going to use. Don't fall into that trap. Don't wait too long to get estimating. Get some basic materials set up. We've tried to help you with some sample, but once you got the basics in here, start estimating. If you start hitting materials that you need while you're estimating them on jobs, you'll be able to add those materials on the fly to the job, but also to this list, so that once you've been estimating for a couple of months, 80 or 90% of the stuff you're going to need is going to be set up here for you. And if you want to import your vendor list, we'll show you how to do that in just a second. Let's start though by breaking down a material and seeing how we get the cost and price. First, let's open a material in the list here. I'm going to open some light bulbs, for instance, for outdoor lighting. I'm going to start here with the material name. Size is important for plant material, not so much for lights, so I've got it blank here, but certainly something I would use on plant material. Units would be whatever I buy this material in. In this case, it would be each, but it could also be things like square foot or 20-pound bags, or yards, or tons, any unit that you buy it in. I recommend using units in the same units that your vendor charges you. It's easy to make a mistake between estimating something in tons and buying them in yards and screwing up your costs and prices. So wherever possible, stick to the way the vendor charges you in your units, and that way you'll be less likely to make a mistake. Type here will be hardscape or softscape. All that really means is it alive or not alive? Where softscapes are alive plant-like material, trees, shrubs, annuals, etc., and hardscapes is everything else. SKU number. If you have a vendor number, this is a great idea, because what you can do every month, every year, however often you need, is import your vendor spreadsheets. It'll look to match your SKU numbers, and if it finds a matching SKU number, it'll update your cost and price for you. Now, if you don't have a SKU number, LMN will create one for you, and that's so you can export your list to Excel, make a whole bunch of changes. Let's say you want to up all your cost by 5%. You can do that in Excel where it takes you 2 seconds to do it through a whole bunch of items. Then you can re-import that spreadsheet back in here and it'll update all these things for you. So if you don't have vendor SKUs, LMN will create one for you, and it's just to facilitate taking items in and out of Excel to do mass changes. Makes it really handy and fast to do big changes. Then you've got a round to nearest. Again, I'm doing light bulbs, so it's 1. But it could be something like 50 square feet if you had to buy them in bundles. Description, internal notes, and sales tax. So if you charge tax for that material, you're going to want to have that set as well. If you charge different taxes because of the way your company is, like in the state or the county that you're in, it's no problem. Just set up your sales tax with the most common tax that you might use, like the county you do most of your work in. You'll be able to edit the sales taxes on every estimate you do. And you can do them all at once. You won't have to go one at a time. So just set that up to the usual, and we'll worry about taxes more when we get to the estimate level. Now over here, you got your unit cost. That's what this thing costs you per whatever your units is. You can add a shipping factor as a percentage markup, and you can add a warranty factor as a percentage markup. These two factors help you sort of automatically build in the cost for shipping and warranty. So for instance, on plant material, I'm always going to build in a warranty factor, somewhere between 2 and 10%, depending on the plant and how likely it is to die. Or if it's a plant that dies all the time, I can make that even higher, 20 to 30%. Purchasing tax is the tax you pay when you buy it from your vendor. That's different than here, the sales tax. This is the tax you charge when you invoice your customer. So this is the tax you pay your vendors. This is the tax you charge your customers. Again, set them up for your defaults. If they change, you can always change those on an estimate by estimate basis. Then you've got your overhead markup. That'll come from your budget. You can't change that. All these costs added together plus your overhead markup gives you your break even. That's what you absolutely need to get for this material without any profit. And then, of course, we can add custom profit margin or a regular profit margin or set a custom price. Really important to be aware of this as we do materials, because you're going to see a big difference in the acceptable profit margins by materials. Some material, like this one I have here, might only absorb a profit margin of 10% to keep the price competitive. But there's a lot of materials in our industry that have a big difference between the retail cost and the wholesale cost. And for those type of materials, you can crank your profit margin way up. So for instance, plant material is a common one. It's not too uncommon to see the plant material at sort of half the wholesale cost as it is the retail cost. So what you can do is really jack up your profit margin, maybe as high as 40%, until you get a price that's close to double your cost. Then you know you're in the ballpark. So when you get into materials, pay very careful attention to that section there. Now that's all you need to do to set up a material. But of course, if you have 700 materials to add, you wouldn't want to do that one at a time. So what we've given you is the ability to import from spreadsheets. If you click the import button, then click download a sample file, you'll get an Excel spreadsheet that's already formulated with the right columns for you. Simply cut and paste your Excel spreadsheet or your vendor spreadsheet into our columns, then save that spreadsheet somewhere on your hard drive. The next step, go down here to import file. Choose your file. And when you've found your file on your hard drive, click it and click open. Now it must be a CSV file. So if you are getting your spreadsheets from your vendor in an Excel format, simply save in Excel as a CSV file. Click OK, and your file will get imported. All your materials will come in for you. Of course, if you get your SKU numbers from your vendors, it makes it all better, because then you can continue to import your vendor files every couple of months, and it won't add all those items again. It'll find the SKU number, match it, and simply update the cost to your vendor's current cost. A huge time saver for those of you setting up your materials. But on our final piece of advice for materials, again, don't worry about getting every material set up before you start estimating. Get the basics set up and then work on your material list as you develop your estimates. Don't add too much to it either. 10,000 items are just going to slow you down and you won't use most of them. Set up your essentials and get started from there. If you have any questions about setting up your materials, hit us up on live chat at golmn.com/help to get to our help center, or email us at advice@golmn.com. We're happy to steer you in the right direction. Or if you need help with your import file, let us know as well. One of our experts can take a look at it and make suggestions, and sometimes even change it for you to get it to a point where you can import all your materials, saving you, hopefully, tens of hours of data entry. So don't be afraid to use us. It's all free.